So I'm going to be talking about chapter 6 in our leadership book. So some of the chapter takeaways that I took from this book was credibility. Credibility, which is built on perceptions of our competence, trustworthiness, and dynamism, is a key to a successful influence attempt. Enhancing your credibility through self-presentation behaviors that establish commonalities with your audience and distance yourself from untrustworthy groups. Credibility is something that helps you build trustworthiness with someone. You're not going to have someone do something that you think they can't do if they're not credible doing it. In order to gain credibility, they need to be doing something over and over again, and got to be repetitious. It's got to be trustworthiness, something like that. Compliance gaining strategies are verbal tactics used to influence others in face-to-face encounters. Avoid hard tactics like applying pressure or applying to authority, however possible. These strategies may gain compliance, but often at the expense of long-term commitment. Whenever possible, use a combination of soft tactics, consulting with others, pointing out benefits, putting on other person in good mood, or arousing enthusiasm. So another part of the chapter that I learned about was about augmentation, and this involves controversy and extended discussion over issues. Never confuse an argument with verbal aggression, with attacks and self-worth of others. Argumentation produces a wide array of positive outcomes, with verbal aggression is destructive. So argumentation is controversy. It's arguing about people about how credible that they can be. In order to sway others in your point of view, you will need to avoid aggression to develop argumentative competence. Argumentative competence consists of stating the controversy in positional form. So you don't want to argue with people without proving a point. You always have to have a point behind everything you do. You have to avoid being aggressive, because once you're aggressive, then people start backing away and not wanting to listen with you. They just want to more get out of the conversation. You can't establish any sort of credibility if you're in someone's face. Another thing that you learn is negotiation, which is back-to-back communication aimed at reaching a joint decision when people are in disagreement. So a lot of times when you are having a conversation with someone, you're trying to get a fine point out of it, you have to negotiate. So like when you go into an interview, they ask, how much do you want your starting salary to be? And you say, from what I do, I want $90,000 to start. And they'll say, well, that's a little high for us. We'll give you 76. And then you can keep negotiating until you find that middle ground. The most effective negotiations generate solutions that benefit both parties. So it's a win-win. You may start high and then the company starts low, and then you all start gathering towards middle ground where you guys both will accept some sort of salary, and that's negotiating. To reach a win-win agreement, you'll need to build a cooperative atmosphere. So like earlier when we were talking about no aggression, you can't be aggressive, you can't be angry. You have to talk with someone, you have to feel them out, you have to figure out what they want. You can't just go say in and say, no, I'm sticking with $90,000. I don't care if you guys offer any lower. I'm not going to go lower, $90,000. That will never win. You will never win with that sort of attitude. That's too aggressive, too straight to the point, and you need to start negotiating. Joint problem-solving negotiation involves separating the people from the problem, identifying the interests of each party, brainstorming opinions for mutual gain, and blasting a settlement of objective criteria. So this can be sort of like your company goes to perform some sort of action for another company, and you guys aren't really negotiating a problem, but you guys are setting your own price point. So before we go to this area, we want to say we want this amount of money before we start trying to have a solution with y'all. There's no negotiation, but here's our price. Talk it over with your company and then come back to us if that's good enough for y'all. As a leader, you'll need to resist influence as well as exert it. Mental shortcuts can lead to poor choices. Be prepared to resist manipulative influence tactics that appeal to the principle of reciprocation, give and take, the desire of consistency, social proof validation, looking for others, liking authority, and the principle of scarcity. So as a leader, you need to be smart. You got to think outside the box. You can't let people, just because someone does something repeatedly doesn't mean that they are going to do it all the time. I mean, it's about being credible. Like we said, this whole chapter is about being credible, and in order to be credible, you're always going to have to make a leap. You're going to have to make a leap of faith at some point. So if you're a leader, you need to keep an eye out for social proof validation, because that's very important.